This really hurts. Van der Poel's sudden exit from the Tour de France. For someone who spends his off-season throwing himself off alpine descents in a skin-tight skin suit, or chasing sheep through muddy cyclocross courses at 600 watts, you'd think a mere lung infection wouldn't be enough to take out Mathieu van der Poel. And yet on stage 10 of the 2025 Tour de France, it happened. The Dutchman quietly exited the race with what his team called an, quote, inflammatory response to pneumonia. Yes, pneumonia, that Victorian-sounding chest ailment that seems more fitting for a 19th century poet than a guy who won Paris-Roubaix by soloing 60 Ks whilst his rivals argued over who'd chase him. But sometimes even superheroes catch colds. Alpecin confirmed the news in a short but heavy-hitting statement on July 8th. Quote, Mathieu van der Poel was forced to abandon the Tour de France due to an inflammatory response following pneumonia symptoms. On Instagram, Van der Poel simply added, quote, this really hurts a lot. No long-winded essay, no excuses, no 3-minute video explaining his oxygen saturation levels or a tearful farewell, just 6 words. That's it, brutal, honest, and iconic. Van der Poel had been visibly suffering for days before he dropped out, barely surviving the stages while being shepherded by teammates in gruppettos who he normally toys with for fun. The man who had once attacked on the Poggio like a crazy panther was now dropping time on Cat 3 climbs. Something was wrong, and it wasn't just bad legs. The decision to abandon was made by team doctor Toon Kroit, who noted that Van der Poel's illness had worsened during the rest day. Quote, he didn't recover enough to continue racing, and we don't want to take any risks with his health. Fair enough. No one wants to be the first rider to test whether it's possible to win a bunch sprint while simultaneously coughing up a lung. Not the Tour we were promised. Coming into the 2025 Tour, expectations for Van der Poel were, as usual, completely deranged. Pundits debated whether he'd go for green, yellow, or just launch from every feed zone for fun. After his cyclocross world title in January, and another win in Milan-San Remo, he was, on paper, more dangerous than ever. He started the Tour hot, lighting up the opening sprint stages for teammate Jasper Philipsen, and then a strange fade, a ghost. Gone were the kamikaze leadouts, the long-range attacks, the hold my beer descending on goat tracks. Instead, he was off the back, often quietly unnoticed. At first, the Dutch media blamed jet lag, then pollen, then gluten. Eventually, fans realised something was genuinely wrong. By stage 8, even Jasper Philipsen lead-outs looked Mathieu-less, and by the time Van der Poel missed the break on stage 9, people were starting to whisper. Was it food poisoning? Was he mentally burned out? Had he pulled a Wout van Aert and decided to race just because the hotel buffet was good? No, it was actually pneumonia the whole time. And if there's one thing harder than riding the Tour de France, it's riding it with fluid in your lungs and a 38 degrees fever, while half the internet thinks you're just being lazy. The peloton plague that nobody talked about until now. Here's where it gets interesting. Mathieu van der Poel wasn't the only one coughing up phlegm, blood and dreams. Multiple teams reported a mysterious respiratory illness spreading through the peloton during the first week of the Tour. Team Visma, Groupama and all riders suffering from unspecific illness, fevers or infections. In other words, everyone was sick but nobody wanted to admit it. Team Alpecin boss Christoph Rudolph hinted at the wider outbreak. Quote, many riders are sick at this Tour. Mathieu isn't the only one. We just had to take the decision before things got worse. Yes, it seems the peloton was engaged in its own version of The Last of Us, except instead of zombies, it was just top-level athletes struggling to breathe while dragging themselves through the Alps. Don't worry though, the ASO definitely made sure the riders' buses had adequate air filters. Yeah, right. By stage 11, the list of abandons had grown longer than a Remco TT bike. Illness was the most common reason. The Tour de Flemme had claimed another victory. Recovery mode, Zwift ice baths, and long road back. Now that he's off the tour, the big question is what's next for Mathieu van der Poel. Currently, we have no official post-tour quotes from Mathieu van der Poel or Alpecin about his exact comeback race, but history tells us he rarely stays down for long. He posted a brief update on Instagram after leaving the race, writing, quote, "First take the time to recover now. I'll be back." Classic, no drama, just facts, and possibly some sauna sessions, Zwift rides, and recovery smoothies blended with moon dust and Belgian chocolate. Typically after the tour, Van der Poel targets events like Mountain Bike World Championships if lungs allow, Brussels Cycling Classic, and sometimes the post-tour criteriums, aka get paid to ride in a circle while waving at fans. But it's his long-term targets that really matter here. He's already qualified for the 2025 UCI Gravel Worlds, and there's a strong chance that he'll line up at the Road World Championships in Kigali, Rwanda in October. A brutal hilly course that doesn't scream Van der Poel, but since when has that ever stopped him? His coach, Christophe de Kegal, hasn't spoken publicly since the withdrawal, but he's previously emphasised the importance of rest. Quote, "Mathieu can go deep, and we always plan room for recovery. You can't win Roubaix every year without respecting that." So, don't be surprised if Van der Poel reappears suddenly, looking tanned, shredded, and weirdly happy, like a man who just spent 3 weeks not riding 200k's a day with bronchitis. A glorious, dramatic, and possibly reckless comeback. So is this the end? Will pneumonia be the thing that finally breaks Van der Poel? Absolutely not. If anything, this is just another bizarre chapter in the ever-chaotic novel that is Mathieu van der Poel's career. Broken backs, botched Olympic mountain bike starts, mid-race nature breaks in cyclocross, and now pneumonia mid-Tour de France. The man is a walking soap opera with quads. What comes next is anyone's guess, but here are the likely scenarios, some serious and some wishful thinking. Possible, back to Mountain Bike Worlds in early September, assuming full respiratory recovery. Targeting Gravel Worlds, where he can mix road power with bike handling chaos. Road Worlds in Kigali, if he feels spicy and wants to remind Remco who invented long-range solo attacks. Less likely reasons, but still funny for us to imagine. Starting a YouTube cooking channel titled Van der Meal, replacing Jasper Philipsen at Alpecin's lead sprinter just out of spite, signing up for a local Dutch criterium and lapping the field before the pre-race handshake. As for the peloton's reaction, quiet concern. Even rivals like Wout van Aert kept it respectful. No trash talk, no memes, because everyone knows that when Van der Poel's not around, something's really wrong. He's the chaos factor, the guy who might attack on a downhill, the man who leads out sprints, solos on cobbles, and doesn't believe in energy conservation. The tour felt flatter without him, both literally and metaphorically. Final thoughts. Pneumonia may have taken Mathieu van der Poel out of the Tour de France, but let's not pretend it's keeping him down. He's already plotting, already recovering, and probably doing lung capacity tests in a cryo chamber, while texting his coach Christophe about which Belgian kermesses he can annihilate next. And if history is any indication, we won't just see Van der Poel return, we'll see him return like a meteor, fast, fiery, and completely indifferent to the laws of physics or pacing strategy. So rest up, Mathieu, the peloton needs your chaos, and Jasper Philipsen definitely needs your lead out. Thanks for watching today's video. If you're new to my channel here, please subscribe to stay up to date with the latest cycling news, cycling drama, and cycling results. Leave a like on today's video for good luck, and don't forget to comment down below your opinion or any news you found out about this topic.